Wondering how to turn your Italian vacation dreams into reality? Today, our expert Italy trip planning consultants spill the secrets behind crafting unforgettable Italian getaways. From romantic couple adventures to multi-generational trips, our team of specialised Italy trip planners share the ways they've helped travellers realise their dreams of Italy on episode 256 of the Untold Italy podcast.
Ciao a tutti and benvenuti to Untold Italy, the travel podcast where you go to the towns and villages, mountains and lakes, hills and coastlines of Bella Italia. Each week your host, Katy Clarke, takes you on a journey in search of magical landscapes, history, culture, wine, gelato, and of course, a whole lot of pasta. If you're dreaming of Italy and planning future adventures there, you've come to the right place.
Ciao everyone, I hope you're doing well, and no doubt many of you are deep into researching your travel plans for Italy. After a long while of doing this podcast and creating resources to assist travellers make the most of their time in Bella Italia, I've noticed some things I find very interesting about travel planning. On the one hand, there are people who love to plan their own trips and get down into the nitty-gritty of logistics and choosing activities. And then there are others who are happy to plan very little and just go with the flow or outsource that all to somebody else. Everyone's different, and I definitely love trip planning. You probably guessed that. But increasingly, I'm learning to let go and tap into expert resources, whether that be in a new country or a part of Italy that I've never been to. Because what I've also noticed is that the information that you find online is generally very surface level. And when it comes to Italy, it's usually written mainly by English native speakers like myself, or perhaps that's the stuff that's easy to find, which is thanks to the tech algorithms that prioritize native English resources. Now, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think if we're going to be truly curious travelers, we should tap into local resources wherever possible. Here at Untold Italy, we aim to give locals a voice on our podcast, and we prioritise guests and partners who are Italian. Our whole team is on a mission to seek out Italian providers who make your experience in Italy truly memorable and unique to you and your family. Joining me today are some of our incredible team of trip planners who all spend a lot of time in Italy and help many, many people realise their Italian dreams. They're all so passionate about seeking out very special local experiences and planning Italian trips that focus on relaxing into Italy and enjoying the moments rather than getting bogged down in trying to figure out logistics and other details. I can't wait for you to meet them, so andiamo, let's go and do just that. Benvenute a tutte. It's so wonderful to have most of you here. We do have a few missing due to time zone challenges, but I'm so looking forward to our listeners getting to know you all and having a little insight into what you do as our amazing Italy trip planning team and how you help travellers plan their dream trip to Italy. So let's get things started by doing a few quick introductions, and we'll dive in and discover what you've learned over the last year and how you've helped clients overcome their challenges and what you're looking forward to in 2025. Now, for everyone listening, I have to apologise. There may be some background noise as there is some construction happening next door that I didn't plan for, but let's hope that doesn't interrupt us too much. So without further ado, let's get started, and I'm going to ask the team to give us some quick introductions about themselves so you know a little bit about who they are. And let's go with you first, Kristen.
Hi. Well, I'm Kristen Jackson. I am the American contingent of this fabulous team. Well, the United States one, I should say. I currently live in Boise, Idaho. I've been here for 12 years, previously in Ohio, but I go to Italy as often as I possibly can. And I've been really hitting it pretty hard over the last decade or so. Really enjoying going over to experience familiar places that I've been to before, but also always trying to make an effort to see and experience something new, usually new to me. I almost always travel solo. I'm happily married. and he does come out to visit every now and then. But I am mostly a solo traveler, and I consider that to be one of my specialties, I suppose.
Amazing, Kristen. Do you have a favorite place in Italy that you always return to?
It changes all the time. It used to be Florence, and then I would go to Florence a lot, and then I went to Rome, and then I fell in love with Rome. But currently, I think a lot about Orvieto. There's something about that charming hilltop town that just has grabbed me, and I can't stop thinking about it, and I keep returning there. I really also really like Ischia as well. I think that it offered a lot of surprises and really ticked a lot of boxes for me. So I would say that Orvieto and Ischia right now are my personal favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, actually. We were talking about going to Orvieto next year with some of the other team, and I'm excited to do that too. So, and if anyone heard about my special birthday treat, the Ischia was amazing. So good. Okay, right. Now, Tyla, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, Katie. Hi, everyone. So my name's Tyla. I am another Australian on the team beyond Katie, and I am actually based in Europe. I live in a ski town in Bulgaria, which thankfully is only a very short flight to Italy. So I'm going to Italy as often as I can these days, trying to tick off all the regions. I think I'm at 13 so far, with big plans to visit a few more in 2025. But yeah, I'm a trip consultant, trip planner with Untold Italy, but also I do the social media behind the scenes.
Your first experience in Italy was as an exchange student, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. So I've had a couple of experiences living in Italy in a few different cities, mainly Florence, Milan, and Trieste, right over near the Slovenian border, as well as going on trips with family members, with friends, with my husband now, but also doing a lot of solo travel as well. And it's interesting that Kristen mentioned Ischia and Orvieto because I've been planning a lot of trips there lately.
Maybe it's a thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we're sending out the vibe.
I definitely think it's up and coming. The next places to watch out for.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can never argue with Umbria. Like, with everyone, Umbria. Move yourself from Tuscany to Umbria. You'll love it. Okay, thank you, Tyla. And Carrie, how about you? Tell us a little bit about you.
So my name's Carrie Smith, and I am from Toronto, Canada. Born and bred, lived here my entire life. And I started loving Italy when I went backpacking in the 1980s, way back when, before we had internet, and I was using my Let's Go Europe book as a university student, and then developed that love, and I began to help people from Toronto mainly traveling to Italy about 15 years ago, creating personalized itineraries, which I just love to do. Back then, everyone wanted to go to Tuscany. That was it. So I really honed my experiences in Tuscany and developed a love for finding boutique hotels and the great agriturismi. And I took my family there about 15 years ago, and we stayed in an agriturismo in Tuscany, and I fell in love. And since then, I've really been, working on trying to get to know all of the 20 regions and traveled to many of them. And I still have several more to go, which hopefully will be in 2025 and 2026. I'll hit a few of the ones I haven't been to. And I started with you, Katie, as a moderator about 5 years ago, moderator of the Facebook page, which is now well over 150,000 people, which is quite amazing. And now started with Untold Italy as a travel consultant, which I'm very happy to be doing.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you with all that experience. It's so fantastic to have people with such a broad depth of experience and different travel styles. I know Carrie's been many times with her family and with her husband. So I think that's a real benefit for our team, is that we do have a broad range of experience. So Carrie, let's start off with you. And what I was hoping you could all do is share some of the favourite or interesting trips and experiences that you've helped plan over the last year, so we can give people an idea of, what can be done and how we can help.
So I've done a lot of couple trips, which have been wonderful. But one of the most interesting ones was we were contacted by an Australian woman, and whose husband was celebrating a milestone birthday. And they had invited all of their extended family to join them in their ancestral Tuscan village near Lucca. And it was a village that I had never heard of before, but I had been to Lucca, thankfully, so I knew the lay of the land a little bit. And they had already rented a villa. And that's one thing I love helping people do, is find the perfect villa. But they had already rented one. And we basically found them a guide that was well-versed in the area, that got to know their little town and took them on a private tour, all 14 of them. And because there were different ages, and multi-generational trips are really fun to plan, but they take a lot of work, we found them a chef to come to the villa. And we found them amazing day trips in the area. So we did zip lining for the teens in the group, and marble cave tours, and developed different day trips to the close by towns, to the wineries. And we booked a great birthday celebration lunch at one of the places close by. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of moving parts and a lot of fun to help plan. So that was probably one of my most interesting ones over the past year.
Oh, amazing. I think those type of trips can be very special, but it's very daunting to plan them. I have experience in that myself. So, yeah, if you can get some help doing it, then I think that that's always a good idea. And I'm so thrilled you were able to help that family, and I'm sure everyone had a great time. And if you are wanting to go to Tuscany, obviously Carrie has got some very deep experience in that area, and so she's the one to go and book with. Okay, Tyla, how about you? Did you have any amazing, interesting trips that you wanted to share?
Yeah, of course. I mean, everyone is interesting in its own way. And like Carrie mentioned, people go and they do special celebrations. So a lot of the trips that I've been planning, it's been a special birthday or a milestone anniversary, a graduation present, a retirement present to themselves. So that's always a lot of fun, crafting really special, unique experiences to celebrate those milestone achievements. Yeah, one that comes to mind off the top of my head is one I had. It was a mother and a son traveling, actually. And the son had lived in Florence previously on an exchange. He did a study abroad through his American university. And so he was very excited to take his mum to Italy for the first time. And she had never been, and it was a lifelong dream. And she was going to have retired a few weeks before they went to Italy. So very exciting time. But what I loved most about it is that they both had this insane fascination with Roman history and ancient Rome. So when it came to planning their itinerary, there was a big focus on experiences that connected to ancient Rome. So for instance, in Rome, they went to Pompeii, but they also went to Ostia Antica. So they actually got to experience both, which for most people would be too much, Roman ruins. But for them, that was amazing. And the highlight experience was Ostia Antica, because they had booked a small group tour, but because it's not a very common place that people go, but they booked a small group tour through Live Tours, and it ended up being a private tour because they were the only ones that booked. So they had a private guide take them around Ostia Antica for 2-3 hours and answer all their questions about ancient Rome. And so that was super, super special for them. They also went up to Verona and to Lake Garda, which many of you probably know there's a lot of Roman ruins, and Verona has its own arena as well. So that was very special. And the feedback I got afterwards, which I thought was quite adorable, was that the mum loved it so much that she's going back next year and she's doing Southern Italy. So they'll be in contact again soon to hopefully plan that trip. But I think having unique experiences that are custom to your interests, to your likes, your dislikes is really important for getting the most out of your time in Italy, and not just doing some kind of cookie cutter, you have to do this because you're in Rome experience. So that's something very, very lovely to hear, but also the feedback of just people having such a wonderful time that they originally thought it was going to be a once in a lifetime trip, and now they're saying, I'm going back next year, I'm going back again, because it's very easy to fall in love with Italy once you see some of the other sides to these popular places.
Absolutely. I love that trip. I love it when people are really clear about what their interests are and you can really help them a lot. I mean, we've had people with, special shopping trip requests. We've had people that are interested, this is my favorite one, in the dark magic, in trying to find things like that in Turin and around. And it just is so fun to help people find those magical places. And you're so right. Like if you can hone in on your interests, then you will have that, you fall in love with Italy in a different way, and it's a way that's really personal to you, which I think is really, really special. Wow, thanks, Tyla. Okay, Kristen, how about you? What were some of the highlights of the trips you planned in the last year?
Well, truly, all of them have had highlights within them. It's been such a fun and enjoyable and really interesting experience to connect with all the clients that I've had over the last year or so. But just like Carrie and Tyla were mentioning, when people go with a specific interest, it really helps. And so one of my favorite trips that I helped plan was a very food-centric trip. They had never been to Italy before, ever. They had no idea they were flying blind, but they knew they were going to go to Piedmont. So I learned a lot about that area myself, but I was also able to lean on, my fellow consultant compadres, for advice. But we really tailored a tremendous trip for them based upon their food interests. And it was really spectacular to see their pictures when they gave me feedback when they got back. Just unbelievable memories and food memories that they had up in Piemonte. I also have done a couple of mother-daughter and mother-son trips that were really meaningful. And I honestly was surprised and humbled, by this experience, to be able to be such a part of such an important thing for these people and their experiences together and the memories that they're creating. It touched me. I was able to give, personalized recommendations for things that I've done myself in the places that they were going. And then they were having these experiences with their parents or with their kids. And it was just really meaningful to me. And just seeing the feedback and the pictures and the joy and the familiar places that I remember, going with my parents, it was awesome. And I was also able to meet up with a set of them while I was in Rome. We were in Rome at the same time. So I legitimately got to meet up with a pair of my clients. And so that was really meaningful too.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. I think, there's no better way than travel to help connect people. And even if it's someone that you already know, like your parents, and just having a joint experience and a fostered love of Italy is an amazing outcome from a trip. And I think, as you've all described, I think Italy really creeps up on you like that. And it's so interesting, isn't it? A lot of the trip consults that we've done, the people come in and they say, oh, this is a once in a lifetime trip. But they come back and say, oh, no, actually, I'll be back. And there's something about Italy, and I think we all got that bug somehow in many different ways, that it just gets under your skin, and it's really fantastic. Okay, so I now want to have a chat about, a lot of people also come to us and they're really overwhelmed or confused, and they need some help just demystifying how to do what they want to do. So, there's part of the trip is the excitement around what you're going to see and do, but then it's the pulling it all together that sometimes people get really overwhelmed with. So, Tyla, if you want to kick this one off, like what were some of the challenges that you've helped people with?
Yeah, of course, Katie. I think, it's so true. You have the idea of going to Italy and it's all cobblestone streets and long lunches and Aperol spritzes, but there's a lot of practicalities that come into the process of trip planning. Transport, accommodation, tours, and it can definitely overwhelm even the most experienced of travelers, myself included. So for helping our clients, I find that when it comes to accommodation, there's usually a lot of confusion about where is the best place to stay. Well, that really depends on what you want to see and how far you're willing to go, sort of thing. But an experience that comes to mind for me is that I had a client who was spending a bit of time in Tuscany, and then they were going to go to the coast, and they were undecided as to where they wanted to go. They wanted to go to Liguria. They were thinking Portofino or Cinque Terre. Now, they had a car, they had 2 little kids, and they were going in the height of summer. And I just thought, is not going to be the best formula for a memorable experience. So I managed to find them some beautiful accommodations in Sestri Levante, which is halfway between Cinque Terre and Portofino. And the great thing about Sestri Levante is it's cute, it's quiet, it has a nice sandy beach that the kids can play on. And the hotel that they were staying at was incredible. Afterwards, the husband let me know that it was the highlight of their trip because they were the only Americans staying there, according to the hotel receptionist. And it felt like a very authentic, real Italian experience. And choosing the right accommodation can make that difference of staying in a really touristy area or staying somewhere a little bit quieter. The other thing that I find people struggle with a lot is just understanding how to navigate transport and what is actually feasibly possible. Because you look at it on a map and you think, oh, that's not too far, I can get there. But are you renting a car? Are you taking a train? Will you take a bus? And if you do, is it one connection? Is it two? Is it three? Are you going to spend the whole day on train? Because personally, I don't like spending the whole day on trains. I'm very particular about how I structure itineraries to make sure that you're getting the most out of your time there. Because for many people, it is a limited small trip. It's 2 weeks, max 14 days. So being able to help someone navigate that process is very lovely in terms of, one, being able to show them how it's possible, but two, also easing a lot of their fears and concerns. Because if they've done any of their own research, you have two different kinds of people who come in. The one who has done absolutely no research and is just like, tell me how to do it. And the other that's done a bit of research and is feeling that intense overwhelm from just so many decisions to be made. And so being able to actually ease their nerves, I think, is quite nice, and being like, you know what? Plenty of people have done it before you. We will figure this out and it will be amazing. It will be memorable. And I'm here to help, I guess, translate all of this information into something that is manageable and understandable. A lot of us trip consultants have done these trips ourselves. We've navigated all the steps in between these places. So I think it helps a lot of people take a breath and feel at ease knowing that we have done this ourselves.
Amazing. Yeah, transport is always a tricky one. And I love that you suggested Sestri Levante. That is one of my favorite towns. And Liguria, another unsung region that people really need to go and delve into a lot more. It's really, really special. Okay, Carrie, how about you? What sort of challenges have you helped people out with?
So feeding into what Tyla said, I think it's really, when people come to us, the really important thing is logistics. Probably the most important factor when we do a consult, because they're so overwhelmed and they have ideas of where they want to go. And I look at it and we try and accomplish what they want to do, but with a realistic plan of action, and designing routes and figuring out transport options, looking at the day-to-day, how that's going to, happen, is a really important part of the planning. And I guess the main thing I've helped is to try and get the clients to look at alternative options to get what they want from the trip, but maybe tweaking the destination so that they're really taking advantage of the untold or off the beaten path places. And it's funny that Tyla mentioned Sestri Levante, because that's one of the examples I had. They wanted to go to the Cinque Terre and they wanted to, in peak season, and they wanted a luxurious hotel, which, as we all know, isn't really found in the 5 towns too much. There's a few of them, but they're far and few between. So we switched them to Sestri Levante, which they loved, in a fabulous hotel. And the beach was amazing. So they love that. And the Amalfi Coast is one of these places that everybody wants to go to. I mean, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, but the reality of it's just packed with people now. And sometimes, you can do a smaller town on the coast, but then that might present transport options. Anyways, I did have some clients that had friends that told them they had to go to the Amalfi Coast and Capri. So when we were talking, they said they didn't like crowds and they didn't want to be on buses and they didn't like expensive hotels. So we totally detoured into Cilento, and they stayed and they did mozzarella farms. They have amazing beaches. They did Pestum. I mean, it was fantastic. And instead of Capri, we switched them to Kristen and my new favorite, and Katie's too, Ischia, which was unbelievable. And they just had the best time. So I think sometimes you have a vision and we really want to help you with that vision. And maybe we can help you with that vision by taking you a little bit off the beaten path.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think that unfortunately with social media, we get a vision of what's possible, but maybe it's just missing a whole lot of detail behind it. And I think that's the value that you all bring to these conversations is you've got the experience and you know, and you've been there and you've been not just there, but many other places. And you may have been there several times. And as we all know, like the Amalfi Coast is a really great example. It's changed a lot. You know, you could have gone there maybe, you know, when I did in 2017 in April, and it would be really quiet and easy to manage. And these days it's super busy. And I think we all sort of, when we see someone that wants to go there, we're really primed to give you really the reality of the situation. Because if you are wanting to go somewhere that's, you know, quiet and have that beautiful, relaxing vacation, it may not be the place for you. Anyway, we could talk about that one for a whole podcast, but we won't do that. I'm going to ask Kristen what her thoughts were around some of the challenges her clients had faced.
Oh, I think that, you know, Tyla and Carrie and yourself really hit the things that I had written down as well, or we're thinking about. But I think high level, it's really that we are providing a human aspect to a very online social media based planning experience. And the human aspect that we are providing is that on the ground, you know, personal experience. We've been there, we've done that. And so we're able to take a lot of the guesswork out of the planning process, I feel, and really narrow things down to what the clients are really looking for, the trip that people are actually wanting to have. It's so easy to go online and see or ask Chat GPT, you know, plan a 2-week trip for me in Italy, and it'll be the same path all of the time. So it's just really nice to have an actual human being available to assist with the planning.
Yeah, 100%. Can't stress that enough. I have played around with the Chat GPT and other tools, itinerary planning tools, and it's a little bit sad really, because it says to me every time you put something in, it's telling people to go to the same places. And so what's going to happen is it's going to get even more crowded, and you know, there's better ways to do things. Of course there's a time and a place for all of that, but I think if you want something very special and you want a smooth transition, then it's probably not the best way to plan an itinerary. Of course everyone's got their own preferences, and that's fine too. But we also have, you know, maybe that's a good segue into the other service that we have that's absolutely free, which is our Facebook group. And that is Italy Travel Planning on Facebook. If you haven't joined, it's free to join, and you can come on and you will come into contact with all these lovely ladies on that are on this call today, because they also help moderate this group. So, Kristen, just back to you. Can you tell me, just from your perspective, what's the difference between, you know, going on the group, which is very helpful for a lot of people, and getting help from you personally as a trip consultant?
Absolutely. So I got here because I started out as a member within, you know, and just participating in the group. It's my favorite group on Facebook ever. And I love being a part of it. That being said, it is getting bigger than ever, and it is awesome. But that means that there is so much information and so many opinions and so much advice coming out. And even though everybody is really genuinely helpful, it can really create a situation where somebody planning a trip will just spin further out of control. We see it kind of often. People get, you know, overwhelmed by the planning process. So while there is a ton of great content within the Facebook group, the services that we provide as, you know, consultants are far more tailored. It's a lot quieter, if that makes sense. It's more focused. We tailor our advice to the exact needs that the person is looking for, as opposed to throwing it out there and getting loads of feedback. I would say that it's quality over quantity. But when I say that, I don't mean it in a negative way, because the Facebook group truly is spectacular and very helpful.
Yeah, I think you're right. Everyone is trying to be helpful, and they're also coming from it from their own perspective, and you don't really know what their perspective is, right? So you've got people jumping into questions like, what's your favorite restaurant in Rome? And you're like, but you don't know what I like.
Right. It's there's not a conversation that can happen versus the Zoom calls that we take with our clients before we even dive into the planning process. You know, the conversation aspect, I think, gets lost a lot in the Facebook through text. As we know right now, just having this conversation with our voices, makes a huge difference in the communication that we're having versus something that's, read like a book.
There's no nuance in the text, unfortunately. I think that's the big thing for me. How about you, Carrie? What have you noticed? You've been moderating for a very long time now, and you give lots of genuinely great advice. But what is it that you think's different from the way you approach your consults to how you can help on Facebook?
Well, I love the Facebook group, and I love helping people in the Facebook group. But I have to say that if you are really struggling, doing a trip consult results in a highly personalized experience, which we simply can't do in the Facebook group. We can give you the resources to do it on your own and to research. But, with doing the trip consult, we send you the questionnaire, which delves into what you like. And then we research even before we get onto the Zoom with you. And once we get onto the Zoom with you, we can really get to know you. It's a face-to-face, and it results in highly personalized recommendations, which I think is really the key to getting a really good trip plan together. By meeting, we get to explore the small details, which can make your trip a successful one. And you can't really do that in the Facebook group, all the nitty-gritty details. Also, and really importantly, is that all of us, amongst all of the consultants, we have our hidden secrets. We have our hidden little gems that I'm frankly not going to put on a Facebook page of 150,000 people, only because it might overwhelm these small little boutique hotels that I love, or these private guides that do a service, but do it, within certain confines, and they don't have the ability to take on so much traffic. So I genuinely love finding those gems for our private clients, and I seek out them when I travel. And we're a very collaborative group with a variety of planners amongst us. So we have great ideas for each region, and we tap into them with each other. Like, we're collaborative in that way. So I think that behind the scenes that people don't see is a really great positive for this too.
Carrie, thanks for that. Yeah, I'm so proud of all of you, the way that you work together and share your information. It's really important, and I think it adds just that level of depth, and it's really different to maybe other services where there may be one planner, and don't get me wrong, there's plenty of amazing services out there that provide trip planning. However, I think, that's a real strength of ours, is that we have that depth of experience and breadth as well across Italy, all the different regions. And we even have people that are living in Italy. 2 of our consultants actually live in Italy, and we've got people all around the world with different perspectives and experiences too. But also, recapping what you said about those special spots, it's difficult to stress enough that we cannot go around recommending some of these places to that bigger group, because unfortunately, as Carrie mentioned, they can get very overwhelmed. And, it sounds unusual to us who come from English-speaking countries where there's a constant, I guess, not obsession, but, like everyone's trying to grow their business or grow this or grow that. In Italy, they don't have that same sense of commitment to growth, So in fact, we had one gentleman in Florence who runs a leather shop, and he actually said to some people in our group, "Stop talking about my shop in your group, because I don't want any more people. There's too many people." And I think that's really almost foreign to us, because we think, oh, they must want more business. But actually, some of these people don't. They're happy doing what they're doing, and they're happy with the amount of business that they've got, and they love doing it that way. So just keep that in mind when you're, doing your research online, because sometimes things may not be as they seem, I would say. How about you, Tyla? What have you got to say about the difference between the group and private clients?
So you want it to be enjoyable. And for some people, planning the trip is almost as fun as going on the trip. But for others, maybe that's not your style. You just want to go and experience and enjoy it. So for those reasons, I think, both the Facebook group and the trip consults, they have their pros. But yeah, for a more customized, special, attentive experience, perhaps a trip consult is definitely the way to go.
I 100% agree. Now, one thing we haven't actually touched on, and I might get you to comment on this, Kristen, is the time that we can save by going down this path as well. Because if you are prepared to sit on that Facebook group and scroll through all the different answers, it's going to take a lot of time. And I personally think that women in particular, and I'm guilty of this as much as anyone, are try and do a lot of things for themselves, and it can take a lot of time. So one of my goals over the past 5 years is to really value my time more and pull in experts when necessary. So do you think that we can help people save a lot of time, Kristen?
Absolutely, 100%. There's still so much planning that can happen even after the consults with us. It's not the end, so there's still so much that people can get involved in, but we're just helping narrow things down a little bit. We're taking a lot of the guesswork out of it. There's so many other things to do with your day than scroll Facebook. So many more things that can contribute to your life than getting absorbed and obsessed with Italy planning. Granted, that's one of my favorite hobbies, but it's not necessarily for everyone. So, you have to really carve out certain time in the day to give to this. Otherwise, it can really take over, and that can really make you spin. And that's no fun for anybody. It really sucks the joy out of planning and looking forward to this. So absolutely, the services that we provide can really, really take the edge off. It can really condense the trip planning and really focus down so that more time can be spent on the fun icing. We provide the cake, and then it's up to people to kind of add to their own trip from there. So it's absolutely worthwhile, in my opinion.
And Kristen, while I've got you, going into 2025, what are you looking forward to helping people with? And do you have any quick tips that you can give for someone that's wanting to go to Italy in 2025?
Absolutely. I know Jubilee is obviously a huge topic for 2025, and Rome is going to be the center, where most things are focused. But my biggest message to people for traveling next year is to just go. You never know what's going to happen. I don't think that pushing off to 2026 is the answer. Maybe 26 is going to throw a curveball that we're not expecting either. And so there's no time like the present. And I think people really need to understand that Italy is a massive country. Obviously much smaller than the United States, Australia, Canada, but there is something for everybody. There's lots of quieter corners to experience and explore that are still comfortable for tourists to exist within. Lots of smaller towns that are on train lines. You don't have to rent a car. It doesn't have to be complicated, but you also don't have to follow the beaten path and go to the top 5. My biggest message is to just go. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be better than okay. It's going to be amazing.
That's exactly right. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Absolutely. How about you, Carrie? What any thoughts do you have on 2025?
So with Kristen, I'm all about, fielding questions about Jubilee right now. And I think my main advice would be to book ahead, especially for Rome. I mean, it's going to look gorgeous. They've been fixing it up nonstop. It'll be beautiful. But I really think that you need to book ahead, and you need to expect maybe some higher prices in Rome anyways, is what I've been seeing. But there's so many other places to visit. So certainly visit Rome. Don't discard Rome because of Jubilee, but book ahead and go visit some other untold places that we've talked about in the podcast and that we can help you with.
100%. I am personally going to Italy in a few weeks' time, or when this recording goes to air, actually, I'll be there, which is in January, and I'll be able to report back. I'll do that on our social media, which Tyla will hopefully help me get organised, and I'll be able to tell you exactly how busy it is compared to, other years. And we've also got our team on the ground there that'll be reporting back too. So I really think that, people have got a very interesting message about crowds. Rome is always crowded, so there's no really getting around that, whichever way you look at it. But I tell you what, I'm really excited to see all those monuments sit there looking their absolute best, and I can't wait to go and explore that Christmas market in Piazza Navona and have all those fountains gushing away in their most brilliant, beautiful best. Okay, Tyla, last one. How about you for 2025? Any special tips?
Yeah, I think, if I can echo, just do it, just go. I'm going to Italy next year. You're going to Italy next year, Katie. My own family is going to Italy. So, that's not scaring us away because we know what to do in order to make it an amazing experience. Yes, book ahead. Do your research, of course, especially when it comes to special event days that will be happening throughout the year in Rome. Who knows, you may even want to be a part of those events if that's something important to you. So I think there's a lot to be said about visiting a country or a city during a special time. The buildings are going to look phenomenal in Rome. All the construction will be taken away and they'll be the freshest they've been in decades, centuries possibly. So that's really special. But yeah, if you are excited and you want to go to Rome, go to Rome. But of course, take the time to look at other places as well nearby, further out. There's lots of beautiful areas to explore in Italy. Myself, I will be heading to Umbria, which is a new region for me, but I think that's a really good choice, being so close to Rome, but a bit off the beaten path. So if you can do that and just go with a positive mindset of, I'm going to have an amazing trip because this is something that I've been dreaming of and wanting to do, you're going to have a fantastic time. So yeah, don't be disheartened, don't be scared off, just be positive. And if you need the help planning a trip and navigating 2025, feel free to reach out. We're always here either on the Facebook group or in a trip consult where we can give you that more exclusive, detailed, personal experience as well.
And we also have a very detailed post on the Jubilee on our website that we'll link to here in the show notes so you can get an idea. But I 100% agree with you. I feel like people tend to panic a little bit, but I don't think we need to. I think, Italy is, as Carrie said, it's a big country. There's a lot of corners to explore. And 9 times out of 10, I would say that people report back in those special little corners are the ones that they love the most, and that's where they get the most joy out of their trip. So we love helping you find that special corner that's going to suit you in particular. Okay, grazie, all of you. You've done an amazing job, and I'm so proud of you and the help that you give all of our clients around the world. So as you can hear, so many different accents here on the call today. We have people in Italy, we have people in Europe, we have people in North America, we have people in Australia. So we're here around the clock, and so you can book in with us to plan your dream trip. And we can't wait to talk to many more of you in 2025 and help you plan your trips for 2025 and beyond, because it's never too early to start planning. If you can get onto it quickly, you'll have many more options. We did actually have quite a few people book late last year, like maybe, a month before their trip. And I can understand how that happens too, being a busy mum. But it is always better to get onto it super early so you've got a really good plan in place and you can just relax then and start working on, whatever interests you, like delving into which restaurants you'd like to go to, or even, I know a lot of people like to plan their outfits, as we know on our Facebook group, that a lot of people like to plan their outfits, so you can spend your time doing that instead. Thank you so much to all of you, my wonderful team, and we're looking forward to another amazing year of travel in Italy and helping all of you get there the best way you can and the way that it suits you. So ciao for now, everyone, and we'll be back soon.
Bye, everybody.
Ciao, arrivederci.
Ciao, Katie. Ciao, guys.
Well, listeners, I hope you enjoyed meeting some of our amazing team members and getting an insight into how they help our clients plan their trips. We have coverage in all time zones to help with your trip planning. And while that makes it a little difficult to get everyone together to record a podcast, it does mean that we're able to help at a time that suits you. Now, if you are interested in our services, I'd like to run you through how it works because it's really very simple. Firstly, you would choose the service that suits you. We offer both consultations, which is really an advice session, and also detailed itinerary planning, where we'll get down into the day-to-day timing of activities and all sorts of very detailed things. Once you've decided what service you prefer, you then complete a short questionnaire about your travel plans and choose the preferred time for your online consultation. We ask for payment up front to make the process smooth, but of course, if you're not satisfied with the service that we offer, we will give you a refund. Now, once we've received payment and your information, one of the team is immediately assigned to meet with you and you'll receive an invitation to that meeting on Zoom. Your consultant will reach out with any clarifying questions prior to the call based on the answers that you provided in the questionnaire. And that's so we can make the most of our time together and really understand what makes a dream trip to Italy for you. Now, the best way to make the most of those sessions is to share any ideas you have in advance and come prepared with an idea of what your trip to Italy looks like. Now, there's no worries if you're not sure. It's also our job to help you clarify your thoughts, and we are more than happy to do that. We spend up to an hour with you discussing your trip, and many questions will come up. As the team mentioned, at this time they can help talk you through many different aspects of travelling in Italy, like how to use trains and what to expect at the train station, or when is the best time to visit certain areas or attractions, for example. Once the call is over, if you've booked in for a trip consultation, we will follow up within a week with a document of detailed notes and suggestions for your trip, such as accommodations, activities, transportation, restaurants, and other ideas that you will go ahead and book and arrange as necessary. Our itinerary planning clients go through a more iterative process, and the final product in that case is a complete and detailed itinerary for your trip that you can access either online or in a printable document, or if you like, you can have both. One thing to note, we are not a travel agent and we do not make bookings on your behalf. We will let you know exactly what you do need to book and by when, however. We do find that this is the most efficient way to manage bookings as it avoids unnecessary double handling. Plus, then you can take full advantage of credit card points. Now, to reiterate this process quickly, you'd book in for a call, provide us with your trip ideas, join us on Zoom for an hour and receive your personalised recommendations that you can go ahead and book immediately. If you're booking in for a trip consultation, this can happen all in around a week. And of course, we will give you some email support if you have any questions after your consultation. It does take a little longer if you want the detailed itinerary planning. However, it's really worth the investment because you can really go from being overwhelmed and without a plan to being relaxed and knowing that your Italy trip is well in hand thanks to expert advice in a matter of days or weeks. It is best to book in for your consultation well before your trip departure date to take full advantage of available accommodation and activity options in the major tourist areas. As we mentioned many, many times on this podcast, your choices become limited the closer you get to departure date, especially in the peak season between Easter and the end of October. If you are interested in booking in for one of our services, you can go to untolditaly.com/services